Hello, Steve White, Steve Outs 89. Well, my state is being flooded. I haven't been up to date with the news because I don't have all the stations anymore. Um, but yeah, I've been watching some of the videos on YouTube and it's looking fairly scary. We've got over 5,000 people with no power. We've got 200 people they've called for rescue. 500 houses apparently are underwater. There's 1,000 at risk in Rochester. Rochester and Maribyrnong seem to be the worst. The Maribyrnong River has burst. Yeah, 8 to 10 feet. We're talking about levels like that. Some places have God. There's was it Strathbridge in Tasmania has 9 meters. Shepparton, I think they're looking at 12 meters, which is the highest they've had since 1974. Bendigo, it looks like the highest that they've had in 150 years. That their records go back that far, and it looks like it's going to beat those records. I mean, a lot of people were talking about how sudden it came up, how quick it came up. People didn't have time, they didn't have proper warnings. Other people did, but stayed anyway. It's kind of scary. I mean, I live in the north. It's a fairly high area. Northcote, if you know the area that I live in, Northcote is basically a hill, and then Thornbury and Preston. I'm in Preston, so I'm sort of fairly safely far back. And I'm on the third floor of a building, so you'd think I wouldn't have to worry about this, but a couple of years ago I had my next door neighbour, something happened and water came through their apartment and flooded my apartment while I was away for the weekend. I came home and the whole place was drenched. It destroyed a bunch of things. I had to replace furniture, I had to replace the carpet, had mold problems, and that was just a couple of inches of like clean water from pipes, and that was devastating. I can't imagine a couple of feet of river water coming through your house. So yeah, we haven't declared a state of emergency yet. They're talking about using some of the facilities built for the you know what to for people during the quarantine. They might be able to house people there. People are escaping to hotels. People are just having to be rescued. There are people on their roofs. There are people who didn't expect it to come up and they just woke up and they open their window and there's the river sitting right outside their door. It's kind of scary, and people are talking about, this is the worst in 10 years or 50 years or 150 years, and it's like, we're going to start hearing, they're going to have to stop saying this 50 year, once in 50 year storm, once in 20 year storm, because with global warming and everything, this is going to keep happening. People don't seem to understand how water works and how rain works and how, it's people seem to think global warming like the Earth's going to dry up and that's how we're going to end. It's actually, we're going to end up drowning. It's scary, and it's gonna in the next week or so. There's going to be some slow moving weather. We're still going to see problems, in a few days to a week, and it's not going to ease up anytime soon. So it's a bit scary, even though I'm quite far away from it, watching it sort of just happen to everyone else. Because I remember when I lived in Thornbury, I lived right on the edge of a hill, and I remember an area flooding just near me, and I'm like, that's like, I know where that is. I just go down the street, you go down the hill, and that's where that's happening. That's how close I was to it because I was on a hill. I moved further in from there, and that was partly intentional. I'm like, you really need to live on high ground or like by the beach, because the water, I mean, it can't build up because it just flows out. So people who live in areas that are problematic, I mean, you're just going to have to start thinking about moving, because this is not going to get better over time. And I hate to say, there's some people who live in some very beautiful areas some seasons, but then other seasons are dangerous. Parts of the year they're going to be dangerous. It's going to be an ongoing thing where people have to start moving inland and so forth, and people have to start thinking about the long term. People who are buying houses or own houses are going to have to start thinking about moving, because this is not just a once-off freak event. I do believe there's some some weather patterns that are making it worse, but long term these are situations that are just going to get worse with global warming unless that changes, and I don't see all the industries that are affecting that, actually doing anything to change anything in the next 10, 20 years. So I'm just glad I live where I live, and, the people who are already living in the low areas, they've got long-term problems they're going to have to deal with. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let's, send good energy to all those people who are dealing with it's horrible, but it could be worse. It could be other places in the world that are worse flooded than here, but until it happens to you, it's always the worst. I'm gonna go.